Hey Juan, thanks for coming on the show today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know we've talked before, but
Yes.
of course, I've been following you on TikTok for a while, watching your videos, and I mean, you're just very consistent with posting about welding and being out on location.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So, is it something that you'd say like you enjoy sharing the knowledge and the experience of being out and
I absolutely do. I
yeah?
absolutely do love it. I enjoy sharing all those videos. A lot of those videos are just random stuff that I get caught doing, and then they'll just send me the videos back. And then,
Okay, I could see that.
but for the most part here lately, I have started doing a lot of videos of my own. But at the beginning of it, it was just random videos that guys would take of me, and then just like they would just blow up.
Yeah. Well, it's something that I noticed like when I started my podcast that, the oil field, like videos of the field and, welding videos especially are very popular.
Yes, they
And
have. They've started. Yeah.
they are. Well, I mean, and like for some, it's like the entertainment aspect of seeing a
Yes.
good weld, and others, it's very educational, like actually showing you how to do certain techniques or how not to do it.
I guess one of the biggest things is well, from I guess from my viewpoint is you can talk all you want about it, but once you actually see it, because I mean you can bullshit with the guys and whatnot. Oh yeah, I laid out this beautiful, just dimes, beads, whatnot, but I'm like, well, let me see it. And then
Yeah.
it's like, well, there it is now.
Right.
So that's the cool thing for some of these younger guys that are coming up, and they actually get to see it, and then now they actually get to see the techniques and stuff like that, and like I guess the fun part about being out there in the field. So I'm the funny guy out there in the field, but I do have quite a bit of experience, so that is a plus right there. As far as when I post my videos, like they can actually take me seriously, but I actually see that
Yeah. Yeah,
he
I
is a little bit
agree.
of a jokester.
Well, you've definitely gotten to a place in, with welding, like you know
Yes, ma'am.
what you're doing, and
Yes,
so you
ma'am.
can get into it a little bit more like with your
Yeah.
personality. Because I've worked around so many welders and there's certain aspects that welders will struggle with, whether it's
Yes.
fabrication or welding uphill or just, being on the road in general. And so
Yes.
you can see a lot of, that internal struggle.
Yes, ma'am. The road is probably one of the hardest things for us because there's just so many bad influences out there, and the loneliness. The
Yeah.
loneliness just, oh my God, it just consumes you.
Yeah.
And once you start to feel lonely, then all of a sudden, hey, buddy's over here, let's go drinking.
Yeah.
And that's where it could lead to really a lot of chaos. And it's like I said, that's probably one of the hardest, was one of the hardest things for myself, being on the road. It's like, man, dude, it's just, I can't wait to get home. But then I'm like, this is my second family over here, and it's like
Yeah.
I want to be out here too as well. Sometimes you don't even want to go home anymore.
Yeah, and then there's
Yeah.
that. And there's reasons why you don't want to go home.
Exactly.
And
You have so many problems also going on. It's like, crap. It's just this is your way out right here.
well, and there's a lot of freedom in the field.
Yes, there is.
You
There's
know,
a lot of
like you're
freedom.
you're away, you're away from things, you're away from problems, you're away from the office. But then it can weigh on you
Yes, it
when you're
can.
out in the field, you're on the road and
That's
you're
exactly
living
right.
that type of lifestyle.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it can really weigh on you, and like I said, that's when you start to you tend to turn to the wrong influences very quickly because you are away, and it's like you don't have anyone else to turn to sometimes. So it's like those are the people that you vent to about all
Right.
your problems, and it's like it can get pretty hectic.
Yeah, and I mean, I've definitely seen that. And
Yes,
I mean,
man.
there's always a story, or there's
Drugs and
some
alcohol is like one of the biggest
it's like
things
goes
out
hand in
there.
hand.
Holy crap, it does.
And well, and then like, everybody wants to party together.
Yes.
And so then there's people like recruiting you.
It's crazy because I mean, for the past 6 years, I'm sober now. I went through the whole 12-step program. Thank God.
Yeah,
But
good for
I
good.
needed it. I needed it.
Yeah.
But for the past 6 years, it was one of the craziest things being on the road like that because I wouldn't even be at my RV, and there was already guys waiting for me, a little 12-pack and whatever else was
Yeah,
going
just
on there.
whatever's going
And it's
hand in
like,
hand with the
man,
12 pack.
you could not wait 5 o'clock to hit. It's like, boom, let's roll up, let's go.
Yeah.
And it's like, crap. they're already there. It's like sweet. It makes you just feel. Sometimes I guess in a way it almost makes you feel like it. Like I don't have any kids. But when you have kids, you come home. It's like they come straight towards you, or your dogs, your little fur babies. They come straight at you. Well, that's how your friends make you feel when you get home. It's like, yeah, here's a 12-pack, buddy.
Yeah.
How was your day?
Yeah, and like let's all like get together and share those experiences because likely you guys are all having similar problems at home or struggles or just wanting to have a good time.
Yes.
It's not even always about drinking your problems away.
No,
like, I mean, you just want to have a good time too.
And the craziest thing is like most of our conversations when we get home is about work.
Oh, yeah.
And then at work, it's about all the drinking that we did the night before. And it's like...
And that lifestyle, it's ongoing.
It is
because when you're on the road, that's part of it.
It just becomes part of you. It turns into a whole routine. My thing was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays. Those are my days. The rest of the days, I would not drink, or I would just come home, spend time with my wife or whatnot with the family. But Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, those were my crazy days.
Right there at the beginning of the week.
Yeah. Let's get this week's really started.
Oh, yeah, you were kicking off the party.
Yes, I did. I would kick off the party pretty well.
Wow.
We were going for the long haul. Yeah, we'd pull an all-nighter Monday, go to work, and then it was not safe. No, it was not safe at all.
Right.
And Tuesday we'd towards the end of the work day, we'd be like, man, I don't even feel like drinking today, but. You know, a cold one doesn't sound bad right about now, 3 o'clock, and it's like, then you'd get home again, do it all over again, and then Wednesday you just you burn out.
Yeah.
Or I would burn out anyways, and it's just a routine, but it's surprising how many guys out here in this in the oil and gas industry have just relied on that now, have just fallen back to that. It's become part of their lifestyle, their routine, and it's hard. It is hard.
It is hard because you don't want to be alone because then you're going to lose your friends if you're not drinking.
Exactly.
But you know they're also struggling too, and they can't maintain that lifestyle. But so you said you've been sober 6 years. What broke the routine?
I just barely. My sober date was 11/2 of 22.
Oh,
so
okay.
Yes, just recently.
So it's been about
a year and 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Almost a year
like
and a half.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
That's quite a.
Some of my videos that I actually have made, they're all in Spanish, but or some of them are in Spanish. Have actually gone back and talked about that whole lifestyle right there, and I think that's where I've gotten a lot of my viewers from because they'll message me like, man, I know exactly where you were at because that's where I'm at right now. And it's like, dude, just take it one day at a time. I'm like. If you slow down just one day, hey, you've already just taken that step forward. So, and then I recently made one in English, and that one did pretty well also. And I had a lot of guys come back at me like, man, I can't appreciate enough how much it is for you to actually make one in English because now we actually know what's going on with you, with your head, and what was really going on with you.
Yeah, sure. No, I get that because for me, I see a lot of your Spanish videos, and I don't always know what you're talking about, but I can appreciate the welding because I've worked on location, I've been a helper, like I know what you're doing, but to hear a little bit of that backstory, but I'm sure it resonates a lot with your Spanish-speaking followers.
It's crazy how many people.
But then to kind of cross back and be able to say like, this is the hardship.
Yeah.
But this is the process. And would you say it's just has it been a continuous process for you?
Oh, yes, constantly. Yeah.
Because you're always tempted.
Every day is a struggle for me. Especially now that summertime's coming around.
Yeah, because then you miss out on a lot of that that social drinking. But is it kind of like an all or nothing for you? Like you know better?
For right now it is. I told myself I was going to give myself 7 years. I've already been sober for 7 years at one point. So I was like, I'll give myself another 7 years. I was like, we'll see how it goes. If I see my life is, getting back on track, maybe we'll look into maybe having a social drink or not. But if I still see a little chaos, in the back of my head, you know what? Just keep doing what you're doing. Sobriety is a thing. Just keep going forward.
And sobriety is a thing, but it's a lonely path.
Yes, it is.
Because not everybody's doing that at once.
Yes.
Because it takes so much just to take those steps.
And that's the hardest part because, like you said, the loneliness. Well, now I have to really self-isolate myself. I have to kind of stay away from those friends because it's always there. The temptation's always going to be there for me.
Well, and then you've got, even when, like, you are drinking, you have those friends that want you to drink more.
Yes.
And there's just this, like...
well, and I was probably one of the guys.
And you guys are all setting goals for each other. You know, like, you haven't had enough. And then before you know it, like, years have passed.
Yeah, and like all that you just threw it away. It's like, man, I could have done so much more.
Well, and so does that inspire you to stay sober? Like
right now, yes, it is. Especially with everything, like all this stuff going on right now with my TikTok kind of blowing up a little bit. I'm like, man, I was like, I really need to take advantage of this.
You do.
This spotlight, I really need to.
There's obviously something to it. And I mean, you've had people seeking you out. You have some good deals going on. Ma'am. And that's really exciting.
Yes, Apex Welding Products. Guillermo, him and he approached me. Like I said, I've never met this guy, but the conversations him and I have are just like, man, what's the next thing? And sometimes he'll message me at 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. He's like, hey, you up? I'm like, yeah, what's up? He's like, I got this idea. And it's like, man, we've got all these ideas rolling around right now. And it's like, hold up, let's take care of these first products, and then we'll move on to the next one. But man, he's a great guy, great father figure. And I'm looking to do some big things with this guy right now, with this company. So
that's exciting.
Hopefully we really blow up.
Well, I mean, and I've noticed both. Like I had seen you on TikTok, I'd seen them, and then I realized that you guys were working together.
Yes.
And I mean, that's something that you see a lot, especially with welding, because there's so many products, there's so many different tools, and
there's a lot of competition.
Clothing, there's a lot of competition.
I mean, it's a doggy world out here right now. Which I'm like, I'm all for. Yeah, right. Competition. I'm very competitive.
Well, but it speaks volumes that there's something to it with the industry, that if there's that much product and service out there, and to be competitive,
yes, it means that there's a word for it.
You also have to be, better than your competitor.
Exactly. And I do. I've had other companies approach me about it, but sometimes I'm just like, man, I have to feel the product. I have to actually work the product, and so that I can actually push it. For example, the lenses. I mean, I stand by these lenses, these welding lenses. I use them personally, and my guys, hey, try my hood out. And like, dude, yeah, this is legit right here.
Like,
so if I'm not gonna use it, then there's no reason for me to even push it.
Right.
And like as far as with Slickman also, he's approached me. He sent me some of his products. Great product. I think hands down there's some of the best welding gloves out there right now.
Are they they're better than? Because I mean, I'm just more familiar with Tillman.
Tillman was the original.
Was the ultimate.
That was the original one. But Slickman has now he's a welder. Nate. He's a welder, so he's actually built them for comfort now, and like these things feel good on you and they last.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, it's a great product.
Because you can burn up a pair of welding gloves real quick.
And then with a lot of the issues with some of these like these bigger competitors, like for example Tillman, they build these products like just so fast, and like quantity wise, the quality starts to depreciate in them.
Yeah.
And with these smaller companies like this coming in, hey, he can actually look at these products and like inspect them himself and be like, no, you know what, these are, because he did do that a while back. He just didn't approve them, so he just like, no, I'm not. This is not what I'm going to stand by. I'm not going to sell these. And that's the best thing right now is quality to me. Same thing goes with welding right now. That's one of the biggest issues that we've had here lately. A lot of these construction companies are now leaning towards quantity. They want you to get all these inches.
Oh, yeah.
They want inches. I'm like, man, we're trailing away from the quality now.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning, I remember when I first started, 100 inches was legit. That was a good honest day's work. 100 inches. And then some of these newer companies started coming in. I started working for this one company, G-Force, and they were requiring 120 inches, but every inch after that was $3. They pay us $3 an inch.
Oh, I've heard that.
So
the incentive.
Heck yeah!
Yeah, you guys are really going to get after it.
I'm really going to get after it.
You got to pay for all that beer.
But and the thing about it, some of these other companies now, they're coming in fast, and I don't know if it's just the bid, the sales, what's going on, but they're requiring more and more inches every job site that we go through, that we go to. I mean, I understand that they have a deadline, but it's like, man, you have a lot of these new cats coming in, and they're just forgetting about quality.
Yeah.
And I guess in a way, that's TikTok has helped remind these guys that, hey, you still need to worry about the quality of your weld and the interior and exterior of it, your beads and your caps. So now with these new videos that we post and stuff like that, these guys are now getting the idea that, hey, this is where I want to get to. But before you get to that, you have to really learn the process. You have to really start from the bottom. You can't just take off and expect to just, you know what, I'm gonna be a helper for a couple months, and then boom, I'm gonna get on the right of way.
Yeah. Well, and you see that a lot because people aren't mastering the fundamentals.
That's exactly right. They're not.
That's a big problem because as much as I'd been around welding as a helper and then with QC, I mean, and I did learn to weld, and I understand the process.
Yes,
it wasn't for me. It wasn't a direction I was going to go in, but I can understand there's a lot more to it.
Yes.
And you know, trusting your puddle and being able to measure the gap.
Boys, I like their sweaters they came out with. I trust the puddle.
Yeah, I know. I think that may have been like where I'd seen that because I'd heard that before, and I'm like, exactly.
Hector, I think it's Hector Loya and Luis Loya.
Yes, yes, and
they're
I'm
doing
like,
big things too as well.
And I think that when you hear things like that, you know, it reminds, especially, you know, newer like helpers and welders, because anybody can put a welding machine in the back of their truck.
Exactly.
And a lot of people are doing that and then calling themselves a welder, but there's so much more to it. And I've worked around a lot of old timers too that would say, like, if you didn't make your own bed, you weren't going to get hired out. Have you heard that before?
I've heard that, and also with the welding machines, if you don't have a Lincoln in the back, you know what? Just go ahead and don't even string out. Go ahead and just take off. We're only wanting Lincoln guys out here.
Yeah, no, there's definitely that debate between Lincoln and Miller.
But Miller's, I mean, they're bringing the competition right now
really
with the Pipe Pro.
You wouldn't see, like, I mean, I would let's say, you know, 5-6 years ago, you wouldn't see as many Millers.
No, not at all.
It's definitely Lincoln all the way.
It's Lincoln all the way, but they're giving them a pretty good run for their money right now.
Oh well,
I have not had the opportunity to weld with the newer 400 Pipe Pros, but I did get to demo the Lincoln the 400 Frontier. I had to demo that one for about 3 months or so, and great product. It's just, to me, it just feels like it's just too much of a machine for us out here with all these dust storms, this crazy weather out here. It's more electronic wise, so that's why a lot of these guys just trust in those old school Lincoln, those 200s. Because I mean, you can sit on the side of the road and just fix it yourself. You can take it apart.
Yeah,
it's no big deal. You right there on the right of way, just change out a carburetor if you need to, and you're good to go again.
Well, and I've definitely been around a few welders that knew how to fix their machines and a few that didn't.
Yes.
And you need to know how
There's
to work on
a lot more that don't than do.
But, you know, there would be some younger welders, and then the older welders would help them. But you could see ones that were in it for the learning, and the others that were just frustrated that it would be happening because now they've got a broke down machine. They've got 2 baby mamas and all these problems in the world. And,
that was one of my. I told myself, I was like, you need to learn how to take this whole machine apart. So I did start off with the 200, say 200. And I was able to take apart that whole thing. I don't know about right now. It's been a while since I've used one, but I did learn how to take it completely apart, engine, tear it all down, build it back up again. And at that time, my brother was going through auto collision repair, and he helped me do the whole painting and body work to it. So it was pretty cool.
That sounds like a cool experience. I got to build
my own machine. It was my machine. I built it up from the ground up. I can actually say that.
Very cool.
Yeah, but yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, the old schoolers used to say, if you didn't build your bed, you know what? You don't even deserve to have a bed on there.
Yeah, like you don't need to be here. We don't want you to work here. Or, you know, I mean, and it's hard on welders, especially rig welders, because you don't just get a call to go to a job. You have to test. And so you can travel across the country for work, you still have to take that test. You have to pass it, and then you have all of this responsibility on the back of your truck that you need to know how to fix and maintain. Right. That's a lot of stress on somebody.
You know, that's one of the craziest things about us is the fact that we do have to do all that just to get a job. And you know, a lot of these guys out there in the industry, they're like, "Oh, welders are the biggest whiners." We might be the biggest whiners, but if you realized how hard it is for us just to land a job and keep the job, because y'all only have to worry about a drug test.
Right.
I mean, yes, that is an issue for us as well. But aside from that, we have to make sure we pass our welding test, drug test, orientation, and then we have to continue to pass x-rays throughout the job.
Yep.
So that right there alone, yes, I'm going to whine about the weather. I'm going to whine about the location I am at because I would want a perfect working condition. And it's like I'm sorry. I mean, like,
well, and there's certain things that you can't work around. Like if it's windy, you're gonna get porosity.
Exactly.
If your rods get wet, you can't weld.
No.
And I mean, and there are some that may complain a little more than others, but there's so much to it. And then, like you said, and then if the job is 100% X-ray and every one of your welds is getting shot,
severe, it's like there is no quantity on this job right now, buddy. We're going for quality right now.
Yeah, you know, and then then you got people.
You're not going to have that by the contractor themselves. I mean, they're on a budget, of course. I know that. I hear that all the time. We're on a budget. Hey, this budget is going to go over if we keep busting.
Yeah, exactly. Because then when they want so many weld inches, and then when they don't want to count, I know that there's been a couple projects where they didn't want to count more for heavy. Heavy wall pipe.
Some of these
ridiculous because that requires more metal to go into it.
Do you not realize that this is slightly thicker than the one we were just doing? It's like, no, it doesn't. No, that's not how it works. You need to double that up right there. Pump up them numbers.
Yeah, you know, a little incentive and morale.
And like, that's another thing. It's like, you want me to weld more. You're paying me by the hour. Hey, how about you throw a little bone at me?
Yeah.
Give me an incentive to work a little bit more, put some more inches out there. And then another thing with these companies is they're no longer providing fitters out there.
Are they not?
No, they're not. They're not providing fitters.
Because it's usually a fitter, and like he has 2 helpers.
Some of these companies now, like I said, budgets.
You're going to be your own fitter.
You're going to be your own fitter.
Your helper can do it.
Your helper can, and that's what I've realized. And then the wages for some of these helpers is just stupid low. It's like $15 an hour. They can just go to Walmart, $17 an hour.
Right.
Benefits as well. They might be working 40 hours, but they're inside all day.
And not having to pay to live on the road.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're not having to pay anything to be on the road, the rent, the RV, whatnot. And that's one of the things. It's like they're no longer providing fitters for us. Some of them are even expecting you to go out there and do all of your own layouts, your own elevations, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, but we still need you to hurry up. It's like, hold up. It's like you can't have one without the other. It's like you can either have quality or you're gonna have quantity. I mean, right now you want me to hurry up? Okay, I'm gonna hurry up, but likelihood is you're probably going to have a lot of busted x-rays right now. It's like, come on.
But then a lot of those people I think are short-sighted because the fitter and his helpers can be gathering the material and making sure it's ready for you. And that can, then you got to make sure it's the right material. And so that's, you should just be burning rod.
And you know what? Well, I guess one of the biggest reasons for that is the fact that once we start a job, it's just so stupid. I don't know why. We're already 2 weeks, 3 weeks behind.
Oh yeah.
It's like we just got to location.
Well, and then you guys are always the first or the last to get hired, the first to get laid off.
Yes.
So it's like don't bring you in until the 11th hour, but then it's like you said, you're already behind on the project.
Every project is already behind.
Then the minute you make that last weld, you're laid off. That's it. We don't need you anymore.
My loyalty. I have no more loyalty for companies.
You can't. And I've said that because I'm like, you can't treat welders like this. You beg for them to come, and then you're dismissing them like with that last check. And it's like then you have to go and start the whole process over again. But a lot of these contractors, then companies like when you come in, they'll be, we got work for the rest of the year. No, you don't.
Bullshit.
That is bullshit.
Been there, done that.
90% of the time, it's like, where's all this work? Everybody should still be working from 10 years ago.
So many times. Oh man, we got this 3-month job coming up. We get there. It's literally it's the beginning of the job. I see all the pallets, all the fittings ready to go, and it's like a month and a half later. It's like, yeah, we're almost done. I'm like, what the fuck happened to the 3 to 4 month job?
It was all just smoke and mirrors.
Yes.
Because there may be a job coming up that they might get to bid on.
Yeah.
But they're just kind of they're playing it. They're playing you, you know, they're playing, and they might get it, you know. So, and there's some companies that's why when you're loyal, you will stay when it's good. When you can see that they're actually okay, there's another project physically going on, you might be able to move over to it. But all of this talk of work in the future, I mean, I could be talking about work in the future. Like it is not really
it's
happening.
All up in the air.
It's all in the air.
All up in the air.
And then, oh no, well, it's because of politics or the office or the materials back ordered. Like, I mean, any excuse you can think of.
Oh yeah.
But then you get on a project that should be a good project, but you end up cutting stuff apart because people aren't giving you the right ISOs. You don't get the revised ISO. Engineer made a change.
That, and like I said, the hardest thing for us welders is the fact that we have to get tested so many times. You don't test a lot of these fitters. Yeah. You have guys that are just, I've been fitting for so long, and they're counting their overtime hours, I guess. So many years, but I guess it's overtime hours. And it's like, no, you're not a fitter, buddy.
No, and especially if you've gotten run off of every project you've been on.
There's your loss right there.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, just spend a little bit of extra money hiring qualified people for these jobs, because
then you're not going to lose that money having to cut stuff apart. Isn't it the worst feeling to cut apart one of your own welds?
It is. I'm like, but I do love doing cutouts. I love working on cutouts because I know that they cannot rush me, and if they rush me, I'm like, I will drag.
Yeah,
I will drag.
That is a really good position to be in, because I now that you say that, cutting things apart is a very slow process.
Yes, it is.
I mean, because you just take your time.
Take my time. I'm gonna fix it right.
Yeah, you got
the first. I guess the second time now.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna do it right. I need to make sure that this passes X-ray again.
Yeah. Yeah, because then if you've got to cut apart a weld that passed X-ray, nobody's want to give you credit for that.
No, heck no.
But then somebody messed up on a measurement, or I mean, just whatever. I mean, it's always something, and it is. It's just it's unnecessary. You get these Mickey Mouse jobs that should be really great projects. Yeah. But there's always something. There's always something, you know. But exactly and then, like, I mean, for me on a QC side, it's like I've never seen so much wrong material.
Holy shit!
There's always the wrong material that gets ordered in
the
like
cheap
bulk.
materials.
And it's gotten cheaper, I would say.
Is.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I look at these pitted pipes. I'm like, where are y'all getting this stuff? What shipyard did this thing sit at for so many years?
Right,
it's like,
and they just went and found it.
Damn. I mean, these gas companies as well. I'm like, y'all are okay with this? You're okay with pitted pipe, but then you're over here giving me crap about our welds. I might have a one or two little spots of porosity, and it's like, no, it's no good. Look at your pitted pipe. Your whole length of pitted pipe. It's like you're complaining about a little speck of porosity in there, and it's
you're okay with looking like it's been in a hailstorm.
Yeah, nasty hailstorm. Holy crap! Yeah, I've been through a hell of a storm.
Well, tell me what are your thoughts on a CWI that's never welded?
Oh man, I was just discussing this with one of these guys because he was thinking about getting his CWI certs, whatnot. I'm like, look, I'm all for it. You know, trying to better yourself, but I said, there's always a but. I'm like, I think you should really join the industry as far as welding, weld a couple years, and then do that. I'm like, you will get a better understanding why some of these guys are probably going to get pissed off at you when you go mark up their shit, and it's like, are you serious? You want me to fix that little nick right there?
Right.
There's no point. You're gonna put more what do you call it? You're gonna damage the pipe more in trying to fix that than if you were to just leave it alone. That stress point is not going to be an issue later on down the road. I promise you that. You're probably going to stress out the pipe more, having to cut it, reheat it, weld it. It's like, No, you got to understand where we're coming from. So you have to join the industry first, weld a couple years, and then, by all means, have at it.
Because it seems like the CWI, certified welding inspectors that don't have welding experience, they don't even know. They've just studied it in a book.
They're
and they know what it looks like on paper. And so whenever you put them on a right of way or in a yard, you know, on a facility, they're looking for things that they learned in the book,
that they just read in the book.
And they're seeing maybe things on the surface, or they're trying to find something wrong to justify their position, or they just want something to be wrong,
or just hell bent,
or just
do not like you.
Yeah, or they don't like you. They don't like welders.
They don't like. I don't know what happened to your baby mama. If she ran off with a welder,
she must have ran off.
Hey, you need to leave that back at the house.
Yeah, right. I mean, I could definitely see there could be maybe some personal issues there.
There is. Some of them just don't. They just lack that a lot of that common knowledge, that common welding knowledge, and it's like without that, you really don't know what the hell you're doing.
And it just amazes me that it's not a requirement. That you should at least have a year or two, I mean, if I'm being generous, of welding experience. Yes. Actually striking an arc.
Actually working solid hours welding.
Yeah, actually
welding
making
all those processes so that you have a better understanding of what these welds look like, what they're supposed to look like.
Well, and then knowing that when they make a call, that they've actually experienced that they've had porosity, that they've burned through.
They've got a little undercut.
If they've never done that, they don't. Then they're passing this judgment, but they don't really understand.
And what I was told, the CWI book is basically an interpretation.
Oh, okay.
It's an interpretation, really. And they can interpret it however the hell they want.
They clearly do.
And it's like, dude.
And because can't you spot someone who's like a CWI that's never had any experience in the field? Like, they don't even know how to drive on location or drive on the right of way. You know, I mean, and like one guy, I remember he had a big old mirror. Like, it looked like it was off like a side view mirror off a semi truck.
Take one of them vanity mirrors off.
He's going all the way around the pipe with it. I mean, like, he's way back there. It was a main line I was on, but I'm like, you know, he's got the right point, but like he really doesn't know what he's looking at.
No.
He's just making sure the weld's there, I guess. And
basically, it's like
it's got the stencil on it, right?
Yeah.
Which is important. But when you don't have the actual experience, like it should be a transition, especially for welders, because you can retire from welding.
Yeah.
You know, you get to the point where like maybe your eyes are, you know, not really like the way they were, like your hands, or you just don't want to do it anymore.
Yes.
Seems like a really great path for a welder that is wanting to continue on in the industry, but you're kind of burnt out on welding.
Yes, ma'am.
But someone that's wanting to kind of skip the line or just say, well, that seems like an easy job.
And that's the biggest thing, is that they think it's an easy job, but you don't realize how much harder you make it on everybody else.
You're making it harder on other people, and so it creates there's enough disruptions and disharmony in the industry. Then you have that.
Yeah,
that's one I feel like has always been a big problem is CWIs without welding experience.
Yeah. That to me, I completely agree. It's just it's uncalled for. You should at least, like I said, have a couple years worth of hands-on experience with every process that you're going to be inspecting at least.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go and be an inspector on a main line, you need mainline welding experience.
Yeah.
If you're going to be in a facility, you need to know how to fab.
Yeah.
Not just telling somebody that they're doing it wrong when you wouldn't be able to do it. You know, you can't do it.
You know, I'm always very respectful of inspectors as far as that. I'm like, they tell me, hey, you know what, that ripple's a little bit too close right there. I'm like, the ripple is too close? What the hell? I have had that happen.
I'm sure you have.
I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll take care of it. In the back of my mind, I'm like, you shit.
You don't know. Well, you know, and there are some positions I would say in oil and gas where you can get into a role like that with no experience.
Yes, ma'am.
Knowing the right people or passing the right test. And you can fake it if you're working in the right
It
group.
happens so often now. It just like...
You just kind of expect it.
Man, you do. You really do. You just expect it now. you're just expect to be on a location where the majority of these higher ups don't really know what the hell they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Have never really even worked out in this industry. They just happen to know somebody. They knew somebody. And come on in.
Yeah, it's like their brother-in-law. Like,
yes.
Yeah, well, he married my sister, and he needs a job.
Shit, dude, you just got to roll with the punches now.
You really do.
I'm like, what do you do?
You do. I mean, you either have to deal with it or you go on. And I've seen now. I will say, when it comes to dragging up, there is no one more theatrical or dramatic than a welder.
Oh my God!
Have seen some really horrifying drag up moments.
Oh yes,
throwing your bottles off the back, getting your jack stands, throwing the pipe off the ground.
A little bit of donut right there.
There's some
just
donuts.
Dust everybody.
Getting your helper amped up.
Yeah, it's a great way to get on the blacklist right there.
It's huge.
Get blackballed.
That's the end of them. But then sometimes if you're a good enough welder, you can get away with bad behavior.
Yeah.
For so long. Then there's people that don't want you anymore. But if you are a really great welder and you're fast, you can get away with some stuff, but it gets old when it's bringing
sure
everybody
does.
down.
Yeah, because then everybody else is watching. It's like,
yeah,
why does he get away with everything? It's like, dude.
And then you got to get back to work.
Don't ask. Yeah. Just do your job, and sooner or later it's gonna catch up to him.
And it does.
Yeah,
and I've seen that happen.
I've seen it happen plenty of times. Yeah, plenty of times. Fortunate that it has not happened to me yet.
There's just way too many, and I mean some like where they're just like throwing their grinders and like their broad bucket in the back, and it's just it will.
I think the best one I heard of was this old boy. He was out on a drilling rig. And he's welding on a flow line. The company man wouldn't sign his ticket. He went and cut his weld out. He said, "Well, I'm taking my weld back." I want to say this happened somewhere around here in the Permian Basin. He said, "I'm taking my weld back." It was like till you sign my ticket. Went up there, crawled up there, cut his weld out, drug up, took off.
That sounds like something.
That right there, yes.
That's a welder for sure. That is, but it's like,
hey,
if you're not
pay
the
man, he did his job. Pay the man.
Yeah,
that's all I have to say. You do a job, pay him.
Yeah, for sure.
If you find something wrong with the job he did, then okay, maybe you can take a step from that and then go on an alternate route. But if the man did his job, pay him.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just saw a video. I didn't look into who it was or where they were. I want to say they're in Oklahoma, but there was some welders that just drug up on a project, and there were 8 of them.
About 8 of them. Yes,
there were 8 of them. You know what I'm talking about, right? And
I just barely saw that video.
And I was like, oh no, I haven't seen someone do that in a long time.
Oh yeah.
But that can really mess up a project if all the welders drag up.
Yes, yeah. We just barely. No, it's been a little bit. A couple months back, I had that happen here in just south of Odessa. Same thing. Welders were like, "Hey man, when are we gonna get our per diem back?" Because we were supposed to be getting our per diem back. Like, no per diem. When are we gonna get our per diem back? Is this just a solid no, or is it
coming back?
Is it coming back? What's going on? But we need an answer right now. No answers. So, all right, we're gone. Rolled up. There's probably about 5 or 6 of us. It's like, hey, just give us an answer or something.
Yeah. Well, because you guys know that if you don't, they are going to play it out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then suddenly the job's over.
This next job, we had to bid it kind of low so we could stay busy. Bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, you didn't. I know you didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you're still. We talked to some of these guys up above you, and these prices are still staying pretty steady, if not going up a little bit. These bid prices that you're shooting at them. I was like, so you're full of shit.
Well, and I mean, because then I've worked on the other side. I've been in the office. I've coordinated projects, and you can see where a lot of the money's wasted, or it's kept.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, a lot of these company owners are going on really nice vacations on your per diem and overtime.
And I know some of these jobs now. I don't think you're allowed to actually put the somehow state that you're going to charge a per diem. I think they have to go a different route. I don't know how they actually label it, but then that's their way around us. Well, we're not allowed to charge per diem. Like, bullshit. I mean, I know you worked the numbers in there, so you included the per diem for all of us. So you're keeping all of our per diem, and it's like that's your profit there.
That is definitely your profit, because I've seen it. I've seen what you can charge for people. And what you're willing to give your people, or what you're keeping. And I mean, it's usually pretty bad.
Yes. And
especially for welders, because there's so many loopholes, and they can hire, they think welders are a dime a dozen, but then you get these people that can't pass x-ray, can't pass a drug test, can't fab pipe. And so then that's what you're stuck with. So you guys have to stick to your guns.
It sucks too, because our wages have not gone up. Our wages have not gone up. I remember probably about 10 years ago, a contracting rate was about $75 an hour, $75 to $80 an hour. 10 years ago. It's still about that. It's still the same right now. I'm just like, I know, well, I mean, for them paying us, I'm like, I know y'all are charging way more than that. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I was like, our wages are still staying the same. What's going on? It's like, you keep telling us, oh, well, we're having to make some cuts. We're having to rebudget everything. I'm like, no, you're not.
Well, and then they want you to use your own tools.
Yes.
And the more that they'll get, like, they'll let you, if you let them get away with it, they're going to keep on. Yeah. And that's where you have to continuously draw that line.
Yeah, because now they've introduced the whole split check system, where they pay you, they split your rig pay and your hand pay.
Oh, I think I've heard that.
So the majority of these companies right now are paying about $15, $17 an hour for your rig, and that's mainly your rig and your tools. So you do get a portion of that. But then you look at the hand wise, what you're getting paid as a hand just for the welding portion of it, it's $35 to $40 an hour. And that's why I'm like, where is the money?
Yeah, because it wasn't there, and I can't remember exactly how this worked, because I know I've been around union pipeline, and I've been around a non-union, and it's different. Yeah. It's very different, but it's still, I mean, very similar complaints across the board. But is it they pay you for your rig, your arm, and
then your per diem,
so and then just your per diem. Yeah. Okay, so that's like your rig, and like you as
yes, like, that's so your arm. Your rig is your truck. The $15 an hour, $17 an hour
is your tools.
I think
and your machine.
Max out is 22 right now, is what the IRS said. And then for the hands right now, your whatever they're paying you as far as you the welder, it's ranging anywhere between 30 to 45.
Yeah, and that's pretty low.
That it is, because the prices of these machines and these tools are not staying even. They're going up, but our wages are staying the same. And it's like, dude, you want us to have all these tools and be ready to go. You want us to have reliable welding equipment, but you're not paying us.
Well, has it gotten better in any part of the industry, or is it driving people?
I think the best one right now, I've seen wages like incredibly high, and that's awesome. Tubing for the coil tubing welders.
Oh, okay.
Coil tubing welders. Holy crap! That's the highest I've ever seen it. I think they're making about $120, $150 an hour, and it's like, holy shit! And that's you're making one to two welds a day, and it's like that's something to get on with right there. And but as far as like fabbers, you would figure someone that could come in there as a combo welder fabricator would be making top dollar.
Yeah,
and they're not. It's like you can either take the job or find something else. And it's right now. It's like crap. I mean, it's right now. It honestly is pretty slow, which is kind of crazy to me. I figured it would have already picked up, but I mean, it's just they're not paying you for what you know anymore. It's just this is the wage we're offering. If you like it, then go ahead and take it. If not, then you know what. And that's why I said I have no loyalty to any company right now. Whoever calls me up, hey, I'm offering $5 more. When do I test?
Right.
Where do I test? I'm there, because they're not being loyal to me. I mean, like if you really appreciate what I'm doing for you, hey, here's an incentive to stay. It's like it's not there anymore.
You know,
none of these companies.
There's not, because I've been like, whenever there were a couple projects that I ended up kind of managing the site, and we had welders from California. I've known several good welders from Bakersfield that have worked in West Texas, and I think a lot of them have gone back to California or Wyoming or just further west. But whenever we would be getting close to the end of the project or close to a holiday, and we needed a certain amount of inches, and I knew these welders. Yeah, and they were good to me.
Yes.
I'm like, listen, if you can get this many inches done, you guys take off for the weekend, pay you for 10 on Friday, all through the weekend, and they would have it done, right?
But
and it would be slick too. Nobody was busting X-ray, and everything got done.
You know what sucks about that also now with some of these? There's some skeezy foremans and superintendents out there. They push you to that limit to what they know that you're capable of. And then they turn around and weasel it away and be like, well, if you can do that right now, why don't you do it?
Yeah, no, we didn't play that
I'm
game.
like,
because I knew better, because I'd worked alongside them, not them specifically, but other welders.
To me, that's just a weasel to me.
No, and they would get burned like that.
Yes.
Because they would, bust ass for 2 days, and then they would get burned. Like, they wouldn't actually get that reward. With me, like, I would say, if you could be done by 3, they'd be done by noon. I'm like, you guys take off. Roll up, have a safe trip. And they would get all that drive time that they earned extra to go see their families, and they would be rewarded, and it was good morale. And I knew I could count on them. And so when it came to the end of the project and we needed to do like some structural whatever, they would get it done, and I would be ready for the painters. And I'd be like, well, you take a couple days off. And they would still be able to, get their full paychecks, but get a little bit of that breather. But, the companies were never that, they didn't appreciate their employees, and some of these fly-by-night smaller contractors are like that.
Yeah.
Because they're not really in it for the long haul.
No, they're not.
Or, because not all companies are like this. You've got really good companies that are set up to, to take care of everybody. But I feel like, people in the field, especially welders, are ones that really aren't valued as much as you should be, because you can't do that quality welding without a quality welder.
I personally believe, I was
so
grateful for this last supervisor where I'm working at right now currently. We had our morning tailgater. And he actually did speak up. He's like, man, if it wasn't for these welders right now, he's like, we're early into this project, but they're ahead. He's like, they're the ones that are keeping y'all afloat. I'm like, thank you.
Right.
Thank you. I mean,
just
like, every now and then,
Every now and then. It's like, it's hard because, again, like when I grew up around, 798 pipeliners, and you'd see them come up to a tie-in, they hadn't worked all day, they're chilling in their trucks. And I mean, that's good money right there, being a tie-in welder. But they would come and they would have such sour dispositions, and they would be grumbling about everything, and they would hate everybody. And so a lot of people are sour by welders, it's like are. You know what I mean, and some of it's brought on.
Those are just little sour patches in our industry. Guys like that.
Not everybody's like that.
No, they're not all like that.
You meet a few that are.
They do make us, They do make us look pretty bad.
Yeah, and because it's like then they're complaining before there's anything to complain about. No, because I think everything you're saying is completely valid, and I've witnessed it. But I'm like, man, it's a nice day. Right. There's no wind. You haven't even done anything today, and you're just pissed off.
Whatever personal problems you have, just leave them back at the house.
But and I've worked for some welders that are, a little, emotionally unstable, and so then you got to deal with that, and you better be rolling up everything right and putting it where it goes, and and so I've definitely been around a lot of welding personalities. But welding is hard work. It's a talent, it's a skill, and it's very much a lifestyle if you're a rig welder.
It is. It truly is.
But do you think there's enough work to like maintain that life as a rig welder? Or do you think
yes, you just have to be you have to really just not rely on just one process. You really have to be open-minded and really learn every process there is to learn. TIG welding, MIG welding, stick, even a little bit of sub-arc. Robotics now they're starting to come out with these orbital welders now. So I mean, like, just just fill your head up with as much knowledge as you can about these processes, and you'll never have to worry about work.
So that's a lot of what it is. Because if
Yes.
all you can do is mainline,
Yeah, if
you're either going to be
just,
chasing it or like it's gonna come to an end.
it really is.
Because
I mean, it's gonna come into your career because you didn't try to put a little bit more stuff into your portfolio. I mean, you didn't try to learn another process. You didn't try to learn how to fab. You didn't. It's just it all depends on the person himself, the welder himself. How busy do you want to stay? How many years do you want to be in this industry? Do you want to be in this industry for the long haul? Hey, learn every process you can. Get to a point where, you know what, maybe I can start up my own little business. You know, little side gigs going on, and watch it blow up from there. But it really just up to us how busy we want to keep ourselves.
Well, what do you think would be a great place to start for somebody? Is it being a helper?
Right. I would say right now is being a helper. I've started to notice a lot of these schools. They're taking in a lot of the, I guess it could be from all these videos they keep watching. They're taking in a lot of these guys now, these young kids, and it's like I think they're just kind of pushing them out there too fast.
Okay.
They're giving this different mindset as far as like, oh, you're gonna make all these bukus of money as soon as you get out of this trade school. You're not. You still need at least a year's worth of experience, maybe just helping out, because it's the majority of them are not just gonna land a job and maintain that job.
Especially not knowing the industry,
yes.
Because like the things that I know from being in it, like I understand what you're still having to deal with. But if you just show up out here and you don't understand the politics of a lot of these companies, or, you know, some of these companies aren't for real, and like you're believing everything you hear, and you're waiting for this moment where you're going to just starting to, you know, make all this money.
Yeah.
And then you're not. You're probably going to get laid off or, you know, passed on down the road. And then you're not focused on getting more experience.
That's right.
Now you're just trying to stay afloat.
Yes, that's exactly right. It's like you're not going to just jump out there and be a rig welder. As soon as you get out of these trade schools, I tell all these kids, I'm like, hey, find you a little mom and pop shop. Settle in there for a little bit. If you like it, then go ahead and stay there. If not, then okay, let's see if you can start building up your list of credentials and contacts. Build up a contact list. Start getting on all these websites on social media, Facebook, Instagram. Well, now it's LinkedIn as well. TikTok, and just start asking around. Hey, you need a helper, or let me just get on as a labor hand, and then just kind of venture off into it. Venture off over there with the welders. If they allow you to stick over there, then hell,
because then you're going to build your network.
Exactly.
You meet these guys, and then it's definitely, you know, about who you know, you know, and it's your contact. Because if you are getting laid off, you want to be able to go on your phone and start calling people. Yeah. And if they know you're a hand, then they're going to want to help you out.
Make a name for yourself.
Yeah.
Make a name for yourself out here. Don't come out here, bust ass for the first month, and then just sit back.
And then you're just chilling.
Yeah, just chilling.
Yeah.
Man,
because you can see so many people.
I could not agree more with what our supervisor told us yesterday in our safety meeting. He's like, these phones right here, he's like, they have been our complete downfall. Because some of these guys just come in there and they just can't get off the phone. So I know it's addicting. Yeah. It's addicting. And in this industry, you can't. You literally have to bust ass all day sometimes. I mean, you come to a point where, okay, we can chill for a little bit. But these kids think they just come in there, they're going to work for a little bit, and then it's like, okay, let me chill. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, dude, you have to make a name for yourself. Being on your phone,
well, it
while
just goes
you have
to
time
show
to maybe practice or something,
you're not taking it seriously.
You're not going to take it seriously.
And I think that, you know, yeah, because for me, when I had first started working pipeline, like you would get a certain amount of time to run equipment, to practice during lunch. That's when I learned how. And then I got good enough that I could keep up on a cleanup crew, you know, pulling topsoil, you know, doing like surface work, not necessarily getting around, you know, you're not getting around hotlines, you're not digging around people. But if somebody wasn't at work, I would get on their machine and I'd work all day. Yeah. And so then instead of my 30-minute lunch, I had a 10-hour day. And I got good enough that the old timers ahead would give me a lot of the bitch work. You know, I would just be pulling topsoil for hours. But it worked because that's how I learned how to run equipment. And that's how I hired out. And I mean, it wasn't something like, and I did that for a few years. I knew it wasn't long term for me because I liked the entire project and I liked being a little bit more independent, not just with a specific machine. I kind of felt the same way about welding. You know, I really enjoyed welding. I enjoyed everything I learned. I love doing QC work, weld mapping, all that kind of stuff, but it is a commitment if you're going to be a welder. And so for you guys, when someone just throws a machine in the back of their truck and is trying to work alongside you, it's almost disrespectful in a way because they're just trying to get through their test. And then, then they're kind of like, they're letting you do harder work. They're taking easier stuff.
Or it's like those guys that are like constantly asking to borrow your tools. And it's
then they need your tools.
Bro, the way I look at it is, if you have to borrow a tool more than 2 times,
you need to go buy it.
You need to go buy it.
Well, and I mean, I've seen some really slick rigs, you know, and like just when you open someone's boxes, you can tell if they're for real or not.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
You can tell. And I definitely have opened a few that are not.
Are you sure you had a tape measure?
Like, where is it? Like, it's just like everything's thrown in.
Holy crap,
I mean, and you've got to be like, I mean, I've worked for welders that, like, you know, they're cutting torches. They had their own little, like, box
little compartments for everything.
And, like, to clean them out. Like, these things were, like, kept very safe and clean away from dirt and wind.
That's one of the reasons why there for a while I hired nothing but women helpers.
Okay.
Girl helpers. Because they're so good about keeping your stuff organized.
Very, very much.
Guys, I'm like, crap, I got to keep telling this guy to put my stuff back where he grabbed it, right where he picked it up, put it back where it belongs, and then some of them don't show up.
Yeah, and then there's that. But no, for sure, like, I would always admire, you know, a way, because then it's unique, you know, because then you've got, like, where you've got your wire wheels and your grinding disc, like, on the lid, where you just spin it right off, and I mean, you're there.
Everything's easily accessible.
Everything's, you know, and so it's like you can do more work.
Yeah.
You have to fight your boxes and get everything to set up.
Where did that tool go?
Yeah. No, and like they're very specific tools that you need every time, and I have made the mistake before of not having everything, especially when you're going and making a tie-in, and then you got to climb back out to get the wedge, and it's like, oh my gosh, you know, like so many things. But you know,
it's nice working with welders that organize themselves and are like pretty good about, you know, keeping their things in order. It's like,
because it's a lot,
makes your day a lot easier and go by
makes
faster.
it easier and it makes it smoother, you know. And I have learned that it's like you set up right, you can just go with the process, but if you don't, you're going to be tripping over yourself the whole time.
Oh crap, yeah.
And I've definitely, I learned a lot. So I learned a lot when I worked with welders, and I can really appreciate it. And, you know, especially someone that is so dedicated. So you're kind of, with TikTok, you're also able to educate and blaze that trail a little bit of showing the younger ones, and maybe not even just younger ones, like just welders that are wanting to improve at any age or any point of their career, letting them see like firsthand how it's done, or, you know, learning new techniques. So is that a lot of, like, because I'm seeing that more and more on TikTok.
Oh yeah, man, I love those too. All those videos with these cool little techniques that they're coming out with. It's like, man, dude, shit. It's like that one guy. Like, what does he say? He's like, no way. And it's like I've been doing this shit wrong for like the past 20 years. It's like, crap, I could have just done it that way. It makes it so much easier, and it makes so much more sense. Yeah, I love that. I love the fact that more people are going out of their way to showing their technique, their way of doing things. And it's like, man, I was like, shit, I didn't even think about that.
No, I love that too, because I mean, I know that I've watched one about how to read an ISO. I think there's a how to read an ISO part 2 also. And I'm like, yeah, thank you. Because like every job I've ever had in oil and gas, it's like you just got to figure it out.
Yes,
and I had to teach myself how to read ISOs, and then I would ask certain welders, like, what's this little symbol mean?
I had the shittiest teacher. Oh, the absolute shittiest, most asshole teacher you could possibly think of. And I love this man. sucked because we're from rival towns. He's from McCamey, Marianne, so we're school, sports, holy shit. And he was a piece of shit. When I first started working with him, he was because I didn't know anything about blueprints. That was my first blueprint job that I'd taken on. It was a single hand job. We were building pulling units out there. It used to be the old OIME building, which was Crown Energy at that time then. And when I first started, he's like, you don't know shit, do you? I was like, I honestly don't. I was being honest with him. He said, well, you're shit out of luck. He's like, you're gonna learn the hard way. I was like, what? Mm-hmm. He's like, go try to read that print over there. I was like, what the hell is he talking about? It was a big old print right there. He's like, go read it. Go do what you think it says, and then I'll tell you whether it's right or wrong. So I had a lot of cutouts, a shitload of cutouts. He would let me weld all this stuff.
Oh, wow.
But it was the best way. I'm happy to have learned that way because it made me really good at repairing things. And that's another thing that some of these guys, it's something you just have to learn on the job sometimes.
Yeah,
repairing things because you get to a point where it's like, how am I supposed to fix this?
Right. Yeah, and that's scary because you're called to fix it.
Yes, and you're like, shit, I don't know what to do. I don't even know where to start. And I'm glad I got to learn that way because it made me that much of a better welder as well. And it just made my life a lot easier afterwards because I had to learn. I had to knuckle down and actually just pay attention to every small little bitty detail on there. Mm-hmm. So it makes you more observant.
Yeah.
Makes you more observant and more knowledgeable as far as all that's concerned. But yeah, he was a piece of shit. Love the guy. I'm a sponsor now. He just went through the whole 12-step program.
Okay, so now you guys are bonding over sobriety.
Yeah, we stay in contact now. So he's like, hey man, you should be my sponsor. I was like, what? I went through the whole 12-step program too. He's like, I need a sponsor now. I was like, hell yeah,
that's
brother.
a small world.
But yeah, we stay in contact. He's a piece of shit. I'll tell him to his face. I love him to death, but he's a piece of shit trying to teach me.
There are a lot. I worked for some hard welders. Yeah. I would not say that I love any of them at this point. We did not stay in touch. But, I would say to them that even though they treated me terrible and they were like nobody wanted to work for them and they were, psycho at times, I still remember some of those lessons.
It gets embedded. I know it's probably trauma.
It is. It's a little bit of it is trauma.
It's a little bit of trauma. It's like, oh shit,
like, I better do it
mess up right there. Yeah, he's gonna be on your ass.
Yeah, but it's like there are certain things that I learned, or just certain like life. Like just understanding the way people are. Like I learned the hard way through him. There's a specific individual I'm thinking of, but he wasn't necessarily doing it to be a teacher, but he was a teacher. But it wasn't like you can't stay living like that. Like you've got to be able to, get out on your own.
And then that's another thing is like some of these guys. They're not teachers, so
they're just not
they
teachers.
Themselves don't even know how to actually show you.
Yeah.
So it's like I can't blame them sometimes because you're not a teacher.
Well, and that is misconstrued because a lot of times, like when you're a welder, you should be able to teach your helper, so that they can learn because it's an apprenticeship, and then they become a welder. And if that was going to be like the process of things, but not every welder is like that. They don't. They don't care to teach the helper. And they want the helper.
Some of them are assholes because they don't want you to be as good as them.
And they definitely don't want you to be as good as them. There's a lot of that. And I've seen helpers that you can see they're chomping at the bit to learn, but they've got a lazy welder.
Yes.
And the welder's going to let the helper do every single thing, not credit them, maybe make it harder on them. And they're never going to get that chance to break out. Yeah. So then they have to go off on their own. But it takes a lot because you've got to understand the industry. Like, looking back, like, I think that if you had the wisdom and the knowledge of the industry at the beginning, you could set yourself up for success. But it's just when you just show up, like, you don't really know what's going on. And then you get caught up in the day-to-day. And you don't have an understanding of what you're doing.
I know, yeah.
I think that hinders people.
And we're really bad about this, welders. We frown upon asking questions. Like our helpers start asking us questions. Why do you have to ask so many damn questions?
Oh yeah, me and my stupid helper that doesn't know what they're doing.
Dude.
Yeah.
They don't know. First of all, it's like just chill out. I'm like, I'm all for it. Ask me all the questions you want. If you keep asking me, if you're repetitive about it, that's fine. But I'm hoping that after my 3-month mark, that everything that I've taught you, that you've asked me, I'm hoping that everything has stayed in you. And if it doesn't, then you know what? You and I need to go different ways.
Yeah,
because it's going to be, it's harder for me because I'm having to tell you constantly. And if that means you're not putting all the effort that you can into this job, you should be trying harder. So after 3 months, if you have not grasped everything I've taught you, you know what? I think we need to go a different route. I think you might need to find yourself maybe another job opportunity or another welder. I'm all for that.
Yeah.
Find you something else, something where it's a little bit easier, where you don't have to do any type of fab work, any type of print reading, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I'm like, but I have a 3-month rule. If after 3 months you're still constantly having to ask me the same question, and you haven't learned what I just taught you, it hasn't quite stuck in you, then you know what?
I understand that. That makes sense. And then there are welders that they get helpers that can't stay out of the bar. Or they can't stay out of their lawyer's office for their DWIs,
and they bring all those problems to work.
So there's a little bit of a stigma for helpers that you've always got some kind of legal problem. It's either drinking and driving, or child support, or both. Sometimes there's more than one of each. And so to give a little bit of credit to welders, it's like then they've got these helpers that like they can't keep their cell phone charged.
You have no ride.
They don't have a ride to work.
You don't have a place to. What do you do? What do you mean you don't have a place to stay? Where have you been?
And there are welders that like the company of a helper, and they'll let them stay on the couch, and it becomes a team. Now it can be a destructive team. If they both like to drink and dabble in things.
Do not sleep with your helper.
Don't
whether it's a guy or a girl, do not sleep with them, because holy shit, that really brings on
that's a problem.
The headaches.
Do not have any kind of romantic relationship with the helper, because that, even if it's exciting and something to do in the beginning, that
you're gonna say the wrong thing on the right of way or out on the field, and it's going to have an impact. We're gonna go to town once we get back to the RV, and it's not gonna be a good thing.
No, it's not. So it's like then you got to set those boundaries.
Yeah, set that boundary. Do not mix business with pleasure at all. That is one of my biggest rules. I do not. Yeah. And like I said, I've had quite a few girls as my helpers, and I know. That's the first thing I tell them. Hey, are you a drinker? You are? Okay, maybe it's not going to work out. You're not a drinker? Okay. I need that to be certain that you're not going to be a drinker, because I can't have that. You and I cannot be drinking together, because we're not going to show up to work.
Yeah. Yeah, and that definitely happens. Like, I know that there's been, good intentions to come to work on a Saturday morning, and you're going to go help out on the other location, but you and all your welder buddies got together and drank on Friday night. Nobody shows up on Saturday.
Yeah.
I remember one project that was just accepted. It's like, well, if they come, it's extra. Like, nobody
we had that from a couple. It was accepted from a couple guys.
It is just accepted.
We already know where he's at.
He's like, he's not coming.
Didn't come.
None of those welds will pass X-ray.
I was pretty good about just showing up and having those little swigs every now and then. I was functioning.
You would have to do that just to maintain.
Oh, heck yes.
Yeah, you'd have to little something.
Yeah, I'd have that little 3 o'clock break of my own, and but yeah, it got to the point where I wasn't showing up anymore. I'd had all these excuses on me, my truck. And that's another thing is, when you're living that lifestyle, you start to come up with every excuse imaginable.
Yeah.
Oh, my windshield wipers ain't working. I can't make it to work. I never used that one, but
that could be if it was raining really hard. I mean, you might be able to get away with that.
Yeah.
But no, there was one guy, like, it got to the point where his truck was broke down so many times they were telling him he needed to get a different truck or a different job.
What family member passed away this weekend?
Yeah, like, I mean, is there anybody left? Yeah.
know.
Oh my God. So many
that's
excuses.
Another thing right there. It's like, holy crap, you can't keep doing that. You can't.
No,
just,
you run out. You run out of road with that.
You run out. I ran out of road.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got to see it for myself. And
to pull yourself out of it and to keep going, to be able to still be in the industry and be around it, because a lot of people
it's
just
hard.
can't be around it, and I'm sure it's not easy.
No, it's not easy at all. Like I said, I mean, shit.
But it's worth it, and it's a decision you've made, and I mean, you're strong enough in who you are.
Right now, yes, I am.
And that's great.
But it's a daily struggle. So right now, I'm strong.
But you get up every day.
This afternoon, I don't know. Right now, I'm strong.
You've just got to be able to stay present.
Yes, ma'am.
I think, honestly, I think that is true of anything, because our internal battles seem to be bigger than anything external.
Yeah.
Because if you can control what you eat and what you drink and how you think, you can take on the world. But if you're battling that every day, you can't stop smoking, you can't stop doing drugs, whatever it is, your life is revolving around that. And so you're not your whole self to be able to face those problems.
You have to love every bit about yourself. And if that, wherever you are at that time, if it's a bad spot and you don't love that, you're not going to be good. You're mentally just going to be struggling for who knows how long. Till you finally accept that, you know what, dude, like this is not good. This is not good for me. My physical and my mental side. I'm not good.
Right.
So you have to be accepting of where you are as far as like struggles.
And to be able to see what you need and provide that for yourself.
Exactly. I mean, just like you do, like as far as exercise, you need exercise. Sometimes you need a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
You need that mental breakdown every now and then. It doesn't mean go with your friends and go fuck it up one night and then use extracurricular whatever to cope with that.
Right.
No.
Because that just numbs it, and then it can make it worse.
It does. It just makes it worse, because once you start to come off that cloud that you're on, that cloud 9 you're on, holy crap, everything that you had just numbed away comes at you like a speeding train.
Yeah.
Just going 1,000 miles an hour. It's like, boom. It's like, oh shit, where did all this shit come from?
And you're just,
I thought it was gone. No, it was gone about an hour ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, last rail you did, it's like it's gone. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The effects of it are gone.
Yeah, everything's gone, and now everything's worse.
It's worse now. So holy shit.
Well, so you've done a lot. You've gotten through those storms, and I mean you're solid in who you are as a welder, and then also as an educator, and helping people, and they're watching your videos, and I mean you're really able to influence in the right way.
Yes.
And so I mean it's really great getting you on here and talking about all of that, and I think that it's very valuable for those that are watching and following your channel, like not only to understand what the lifestyle actually is like, but what it takes to master those fundamentals and the different opportunities that can be there.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's great, Juan. Well, thank you again for coming on.
Thank y'all for having me. It's great. Great conversation.
It has been a great conversation. Thanks again.
Thank you.